Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Oh, look at that, we got the old green light on. Today I decided to find out what was wrong with this off-road go-kart such that it had like virtually no compression. So obviously what you start out doing, you got to remove the engine, right? Not all that hard. That just kind of lies in there, so you take it right out. Then there's only two bolts holding the engine on. This one up here, and this one, right? One goes through down here. You got to loosen up. This thing is how you adjust the chain, so you got to loosen it and drop it so that the bolt will come out. And you have to take off the exhaust system. Then the engine comes right out the front. Piece of cake. You got to take off the chain, obviously. I took off the sprocket, and that's how I got the chain off. So with the engine out, then it's like, yo, why do I have no compression? Just to recall, guys, I did the full troubleshooting. I put the Harbor Freight leak back gauge on this thing, and the leak back wasn't that bad. Turns out the valves appear to be good. All that appears very nice. No issues there. The only issue I did run across with the head is somebody broke off one of the exhaust studs. And I'm not sure if they broke it off or it broke itself. The other one is right here. It spun out easily, so I tend to believe somebody snapped it off for some reason. I'm really not seeing any indication that anybody was in this engine before. Here's the piston, and I think you guys could kind of see that, you know, the top two rings are seized, the oil ring is still alive. That's why when I put oil down the spark plug hole, I did get the compression back. There is some minor scarring here, but it's not horrible. I've seen them worse. So I'm going to pull that out, and you see these holes? Those are the oiling holes. I'm going to make sure they're clear. I assume they're on the bottom too. I'll make sure those are clear. But you can see it does have stuck valves. So I'm going to, or stuck rings. I'm going to loosen those up. WTBM123, Terry gave me a really good idea. What you do is you heat them up with a torch, and then like if you get something like a dental pick or something and try to go where the ring gap is, and kind of work it in there and heat and work and heat, and very gradually you can work them out of there. Quite honestly, it might take you a half hour per ring, but that also keeps you from messing this up. For cleaning it up, I mean, people use different things. If you break a ring, then you kind of have your own little scraping knife for scraping the carbon buildup or whatever. If I had to guess what happened to this engine was it was probably overheated, though I'm really not seeing any indications of that, right? This doesn't look all cooked. But I'm thinking at some point it was overheated, which on these things it's pretty easy to do. You guys could see the bore, and you could see down there by my fingers, right, that there is a little, yeah, right there. I think you guys, I don't know, can you see it? Can I see it? If I can't see it, you guys can't see it. There you go. I don't know, maybe you guys can see it now. But you guys could see some compression or some corrosion. So I'm gonna clean this all up. Normally what I do is I go lightly with some emery paper, you know, the stuff you use to clean pipes before you solder them together. That's about 120, so I'll go after lightly with that. This is pretty hard. This is cast iron, so the emery paper does a pretty good job on the rust. It really doesn't beat up on the cast iron too much, so I I won't like elongate the bore or anything, just kind of working on the rust, except where the rust comes off, obviously there'll be something missing there. Then I'm going to give it a quick hone. I'm going to try to get the rings loose. Looks like all the gaskets lived, so I'm hoping to put it back together again. About that problem, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. To drill it out, what one really has to do is, if you kind of put a little longer bolt in here and you set this up on your drill press so that you're parallel, straight, perpendicular, or parallel, mostly parallel, everything is parallel to the other bolt, then you put a little divot right in the center and you try to drill straight in, and you go check your chart to the size you're trying to use. I don't know, M6, whatever it is, and you drill and you get the right tap, and you kind of can redo the threads and hope for the best. If you're really good, you more or less drill perfectly down the center and you don't damage the threads at all, and then you just kind of use something like a dental pick, and you just kind of spin the remaining the threads from the bolt out, and you have the threads that were originally cut still there. But I mean, you got to be like about perfect to do that. Maybe, I don't know, a 64th off, if that much, maybe even less than a 64th, a 1/28th off, to keep your threads. Though if you're just a little bit cocked or off kilter, a lot of times you can keep like 3/4 or more of your threads, and you kind of got some on the top and the bottom, and when you put the bolt in, it'll still work. It'll grip, and then you can put the whole thing together. So yeah, let me get the rings freed up and all that. By the way, if you go on eBay for 110cc motors, you can buy the jug, the piston, the rings, the gasket set, and the whole top head assembly, including the valves, the whole bit, ready to slam on there for about $165 delivered. So you gotta figure out what you're up to before you go too crazy on any of this stuff. To me, it looks like the head is good, except for that broken exhaust stud, which kind of sucks. To me, the piston looks good, except the rings are seized on there, and I'll obviously mess with that. If I have to put a piston and rings in it, I think a piston and rings is only like $25. So you got to be careful how far you get. Once again, the bore, piston and rings, I think was around $100. I think I'm trying to, I kind of looked at the numbers individually, then I looked at the full kit. The best deal obviously is the full kit, and according to them, the Taotao engine, Taotao engine, the, what is this, Roketa or something like that engine, and several others are all exactly the same, that they use the same piston, rings, gaskets, jug, and head. So even if you go out and torture your bike, and it's one of those things at 110 cc's, if you can buy all of it for $165, it's really pretty reasonable for getting yourself back on the road. So turns out you guys were right. It did have seized valves, and I think it was Roger O'Connor who said probably overheat or seized rings. I think it was Roger O'Connor who said probably overheated and seized rings. Roger, I think you're right. I think that's probably what happened to this. Anyway, folks, I'm going to spend a few minutes with this, see what kind of trouble I'm in. Folks, remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, and please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now, folks. Take care.